It is 12:58. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. Monday Night Football last night as the Ravens played Grinch and won on the West Coast 33-19. Brock Purdy of the 49ers threw 4 interceptions and left with a stinger, leaving Sam Darnold for mop-up duty. Lamar Jackson finished with 297 total yards and 2 touchdowns. Baltimore moves to an NFL best 12-3 with a Miami Dolphins matchup looming with a 1-seed implications. In Pittsburgh, it looks like the Steelers are making a little bit of a change at quarterback, with Kenny Pickett set to return this week as he is nearing full health. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin opts for the hot hand. Mason Rudolph will get the start in Week 17, according to Ian Rappaport. For all your foundation, repair, and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Good afternoon and welcome into Blaine and Mickey. My name is Brad Hopkins. I'm filling in for Mickey Ryan today. Of course, Blaine Bishop is side saddling. You got us for the next couple of hours. In the first hour, we're going to dedicate that to you. It's our reaction to the Titans' last game on Sunday. It wasn't their last game, but the last game they played on Sunday. Yeah. And we'll be catching up with Coach Mack for his reaction in hour number 2.
Yeah, the Mac attack.
Yeah, the Mac attack.
Hope everybody had a nice holidays.
Yeah, man. How was Christmas?
Family and friends. Oh, yeah, it was good, man. You know, got family and.
You let Santa in?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, Santa came on in and said ho, 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 and bye, bye, bye.
Now, see, Santa got shot in my neighborhood when I was a kid, so I always wondered about that.
The neighborhood you live in now?
No, the one I lived in as a kid when I believed in Santa. Excuse me,
I thought we were
listening.
talking about, today.
When Santa was, in my age, when we were of the Santa age.
Oh, okay.
I always wondered, we don't have a fireplace. And my parents had to lock the door with a double lock with a key in it. How is Santa getting in? These are questions that I was asking. Nowadays, the kids Google it. And they find out what's going on with Santa. But Santa was good. He was cool. It was great.
Santa just came through the front door. She would leave it unlocked for him.
Oh, that's nice. So that's how. Okay, that's how it was explained to you.
Yeah. I was like, man, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I just got my gift, so I was super happy.
So you remember Talladega Nights when Cal Naughton took Ricky Bobby's wife?
Yeah.
And the kids were like, yeah, 2 Christmases. Well, my kids have always had that situation for most of their lives, right?
Oh,
but this year, we combined it.
Oh.
Yeah, so my wife and I went over to my ex's house, and her husband
blended family.
Hosted, hosted Christmas, and my parents got to come over, and the kids were there, and it was just great. It was awesome being able to be under one roof. We don't normally get to do that. We did it for Thanksgiving this year, too, so it just made sense that we did it again for Christmas, too. But it was great having everybody together under one roof.
Yeah, that's always a great time. That's what, holidays are about.
Amen.
Family, yes.
Absolutely.
We are family. And watching football.
And watching
basketball, if you want to watch basketball. There was a lot of basketball games.
3 games, bro.
The NFL, it was nice.
So what'd you think of, so it
I didn't
seemed
watch
like.
too much of the other games, but I was trying to enjoy my time. But definitely was at the Titans game, though.
So we'll get into the Titans game in just a second. The Chiefs and the Raiders. Didn't see that coming, but maybe the curse of Taylor Swift has taken full effect on the Chiefs because they lost yet again.
I saw him drop a couple passes, too.
Yeah. And you yelling at linemen and stuff?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think in that game, I did watch that game a little bit more closely just because it's Mahomes and Kelsey and Andy Reid, who was a former coach of mine who I really respect a lot. Is a really great human being, great guy to play for. Is Mahomes now, I think, is gotten spooked. The Raiders got after him so early in this game, he stopped going through his progression reads and really went through panic mode. That means he not only didn't trust his receiver because they've been dropping ball, he didn't trust his offensive lineman. Have you ever been in a situation, you were so good, but was there times that you felt like the quarterback didn't trust, maybe this is a play, but now just take that, I think that's what happened the entire game, and they got after him. The Raiders front 4 really got after him, and I think he got a little spooked, like he wasn't going through his progression reads. Like one guy wasn't open his first read, and then he just got jittery a little bit. I think it was a little more on Mahomes than anything else. It's hard, but when you don't have that trust, tell you what that can do to a quarterback there, B-Hop.
Lack of rhythm throws. When you drop back and that back foot hits and the ball comes out because you know where it's going, the receiver understands exactly where he's supposed to be, There was a lot of improv.
Yes.
There was a lot of Patrick Mahomes doing Patrick Mahomes type stuff,
Uh-huh.
but there has to be some consistency, and we didn't see that. Now, credit to defense from the Raiders.
Oh, yeah, no, I give him much credit.
We talked about your boy before the show started, Antonio Pierce.
Oh, yeah. And
Should
my
he
guy,
get the
man.
job? What do you think? Interim head coach right now after they let
I want him to get the job. I don't want him to make the same mistake they made last year or 2 years ago with the special teams coach did a real good job. Then he ended up going to Green Bay as their special teams coordinator. Forgot his name off the top of my head, but he did a fantastic job. And I think Antonio Pierce is doing the same, maybe even a little bit better. I think he relates to the players they play for him. He's 4-3 as a head coach. But, the interim never gets the head coach job. So that's I'm conflicted because I'm friends with him. So I want to see him do well and get the job and show he can do it. And if it doesn't work out, guess what? You're probably not, paying him, gobs of money. So what was the roll the dice and see if you can continue this. I just think he's doing this with really no quarterback. I mean, I don't think O'Connell's going to be he was at Purdue. Was he there with your son?
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a good quarterback, but I don't think he's a starting quarterback in this league. I think he's a rhythm thrower type guy. Doesn't have a big arm, but he did a great job in college and is doing okay job. Just don't know if he is the guy. And Garoppolo, I think they've kind of just said that project is over with, with him being injured and everything else. So, what can you do? And he gets a fresh start. So maybe they think either he gets a fresh start with a new quarterback or a new coach. So I just want to give him a shot. Because then your time starts over. You get a good 3-year window there. Yeah. Maybe you get to, at least a year, hopefully. But I'd love to see the Raiders do well. It's just the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders, man. And they beat the Chiefs in Kansas City.
In KC.
Yeah, so that's big. That's pretty big in division, too.
You see Travis Kelce moon the Raiders fans?
No, this happened?
Yeah, he dropped trial. He didn't drop, share fleshy moon, but it was more of the grays. He pulled down his pants and showed his grays to them because they were saying that Patrick Mahomes was a fraud, and they told Kelce he needed to block. They're really kind of getting under his nerves, Raiders fans.
Well, you know how the Raiders fans they are crazy. I mean, the guy with the painted face may be a lawyer. Don't get it confused.
Shut your mouth.
No, absolutely. I know a couple of them. I'm like, that was you. Yeah, you didn't see my face painted. Like, what the heck? No, I'm serious. It's not just crazy wild fans. It's some high up, man. You just never know, man.
Some of them are trickling into Nissan Stadium. We start to see some painted faces. Joseph, what you got? I hear you over there ready to say something.
So with Travis Kelce, I know a big thing after this game was Travis Kelce looks washed. He looks like he's ready to retire. I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that the Chiefs don't have any other options. Patrick Mahomes can't trust his wide receivers right now. They've let him down so much. So who's the one guy, if you're Patrick Mahomes, you're going to go to if you need a must throw?
No, that's a good point because defenses will take Travis Kelce away because they know that he's Patrick's only trusted receiver, so to speak. And
he's not like they're still going to target him though. That's
right. Well, and you have to because he's still a really really good tight end and gets them out of a lot of situations. But you have to be able to go deep, right? Travis Kelce is not running a go route. Yeah. He's not He's not on the edges. They are really pressing the defense.
And they were doing a lot of screenplays to him, just like
I didn't like those bubble screens.
Quick little bubble screens to him, and I mean he was just getting swarmed. You know why? Because I think it was very predictable that they're going to get this ball to Travis Kelce and try to let their playmaker do something because Patrick Mahomes can't trust any of the other wide receivers because they've let him down so many other times this season.
Right. As that alone, he wasn't trusting his offensive line.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll say about Travis Kelce. I think we're seeing the first signs of him having a little bit drop down in his ability. Nothing major, but it's definitely he is not the king of the hill to me anymore. He's had too many drops. I've watched too many games. And that doesn't happen. Either that or he's pressing to make plays because everything else is not going right around him. So he feels like he has to do it himself. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about the Swift and the distractions and all that. But when you get on the football field, most players, or especially a guy of his ilk and his talent and his ability, usually that they go into their world and that's their focus and they do a really good job. So I think we're just seeing a little bit ticking, maybe because more pressure on him because of the outside guys not making plays for him. He needs one other guy really that can open it up for him, and I think now he's starting to press. It's really hard to say if he's losing a little step or if he's just not concentrating. But this happened multiple games. I want to say 3 games I've seen him drop 2 different passes when I've watched them play, which is very abnormal for him.
This isn't the same team that people at the very beginning of the season prognosticated them representing the AFC in the championship. They wanted to run it back, right, against the Eagles, but not so much this year. Now, the Eagles took on the Giants yesterday and did what they were supposed to do. It wasn't like a close game. I mean, to a degree it was. At least they made a game of it.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor came in once they benched Tommy DeVito, and they had a chance to tie the game at the end.
I saw a Dory Jackson sighting. Did you see that?
Oh, stop.
Yeah, the pick six. Yeah.
You still a fan? Or were you ever?
I
he was here?
Always a fan. So, it's just funny how when they leave here, they do really well. I'm just saying, those are facts. They do really well.
So what is it about this building that they just can't get to their peak?
I don't know.
Stop.
Yeah, he has done he started the last 3 years there and had no injury issues or nothing. Like, he's done well there. And he's going to get another big contract after this season with somebody else, probably.
Yeah.
He's done a good job. I think, the stink is that he got hurt at the end. Remember that? Didn't they franchise him and then take it off or something? Was he the guy? Well, anyway.
I do remember the franchise
he was the first round
being
pick
associated with him, yeah.
And then they took it off, and then, he had hurt his knee. And, man, when you're playing corner, man, I learned this from Samari Ross. Like, dang, man, your ankle, you can't play, man. He's all right, you go out there 85% and go guard Plexico Burrs then. Or some of these dudes. Right. It's different than playing safety or line. So, especially us, we play man-to-man. So he's like, no. So I think they just got upset he couldn't play. His knee was hurt. He never got to 100%. So I don't always believe the narrative because the tea leaves tell you what the narrative should be, and the NFL and teams always try to control the narrative. So you got to go do your own homework to figure out what you think is real and what is not. And I think he was a good player. You all of a sudden don't become good. All of a sudden you went to another team. He was good when he was here.
Yeah. Maybe misused. I don't know.
Right.
Changes.
Exactly. So, that's kind of how I look at it. And he's done well there. I think Logan Ryan actually pushed for him after he got actually cut the next year. So to push to say, hey, this guy's legit. Because he played with him with the Titans.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hey, so
and we need corners, by the way, because all of them going to be free agents.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, and I'm sure Trey Avery said, I wish they were still here, too.
Yeah, I bet. Hey, listen, I wonder what the tea leaves are telling you about this year's MVP. MVP is usually designated towards, I think to me it's relative. Mm-hmm. Like the most valuable player, how can that be determined if the most valuable player is the guy that's best suited for your team to give them the best chance to win versus a league-wide thing? Because other than the quarterback, there's really no other positions you can look at. Mm-hmm. Maybe Tyreek Hill this year pushes the needle. Maybe CMC, Christian McCaffrey in San Francisco pushes the needle. But last night's matchup between the Niners and the Ravens was supposed to bid two MVP candidates together. Brock Purdy, who's been mentioned, and, of course, Lamar Jackson, the things that he's been doing. And it seemed to be a huge gap that Lamar has put between he and Brock Purdy with those 4 interceptions that Brock threw yesterday. The defense for the Ravens did a tremendous job of befuddling him, putting him in situations where he really wasn't believing what he was saying, let that ball go, and guess what? the Ravens are coming down with it. And Lamar Jackson, good guy.
There's a couple of tip balls, too.
Yeah, a couple of tip balls. But Lamar Jackson, with what he's been able to do with the ball in his hands, whether he's throwing it or running it, you've got to give him credit. So, to me, I'm going to ask you this. MVP of the Titans, okay, even though it's a losing season for the Titans, who is the Titans' most valuable player in your opinion? But I also, before we go to the break here in just a minute, wanted to see who your NFL MVP is at this point. Is it Lamar Jackson? Is it Tyreek Hill, Chris McCaffrey, or some other quarterback I'm not mentioning at this point?
Well, going into the game, before the game, I would say Lamar Jackson, Purdy, McCaffrey, as well as Tyreek Hill. Those are my top 4 candidates, at least for me. I really wanted to see, and I want to see Tyreek Hill get it only because he's going to set a record in the National Football League if he gets the record. Yeah. And I just feel like you should be rewarded in some form or fashion if he does something that's never been done in the NFL. And that's just me, though. Now,
that makes
to
sense.
your point,
that makes sense.
It's really a quarterback award. If not, Lamar Jackson is played under the radar really well, and they got to show in this game. Whether Purdy threw 4 interceptions or not, I feel like McCaffrey really is what's make that team go. For me. So he would have been ahead of Purdy before that game for me. But Lamar and Tyreek Hill, they were at the top. Those are my top 2 candidates. And then after that, McCaffrey's doing something really just to stay healthy and run and receive is really good. So that'll be interesting. A running back hadn't gotten it in a while.
Yeah.
So that's kind of changed. So that's kind of where I was at, and I'm gonna stick with that. I wish I want to see Purdy give a little burst there. Then I know he got taken out because he had a stinger, to see if he could actually bring them back a little bit so it could kind of level the playing field there, because it was a rough day for him and the 49ers. They lost Trent Williams, as you know, losing your best tackle, being a tackle yourself. I mean, that's tough sledding. So he got pressure a lot. So, yeah, that would probably be my lead candidate. I want Tyreek Hill to get it.
I think we misconstrue sometimes, in my opinion, MVP for best player, because that's the way we look at the MVP, is the best player in the league. Okay, so that's a separate conversation for me. For me, there are 32 MVPs, because it's the MVP, most valuable player, to your team, okay? That's why I'm asking the question on the other side.
Right, we will.
Who is the Titans' MVP? Even though it's a losing season, you still got to look at the player who you think is the best.
Too. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. 737-1045. Jump on right now. MVP of the Titans when we come back. Stick around for more Blaine and Mickey. I'm Brad Hopkins. He is Blaine Bishop. We will be right back.
Tighten up. For many of you who have lived here a long time, you already know Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee area for your European car repair needs now for 24 years. And we've all gotten to watch them grow. And I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. Well, we're now proud to announce the 5th location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from Dairy Queen. And Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. Pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in the barn in his backyard of a single-wide trailer and now grow to 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX. Or you can just visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine, you. Hey, this is Blaine Bishop. I'm excited to tell you about Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance, or as you may know them as TOA. TOA has 29 locations, over 100 orthopedic physicians throughout Middle and East Tennessee to take care of all your musculoskeletal needs. In addition to their orthopedic clinics and urgent care facilities, TOA offers physical therapy, hand therapy, and sports performance training for teams and individuals at their sports performance centers. And as a former professional athlete, I know how important access to expert orthopedic care is. Whether you're an athlete, active adult, or just looking to get back to living your best life, you can visit TOA online at TOA.com. Or you can call them at 1-855-NEED-TOA. That's 1-855-NEED-TOA.
Welcome back, y'all. It's Blaine and Mickey. I'm Brad Hopkins, filling in for Mickey Ryan. And he's Blaine Bishop, as always. And when we last left you, we were talking about MVPs. MVP meaning most valuable player to the team. And this is the specific conversation. You can join us here as well. 737-1045 if you've got a take on the most valuable Titan to this point. I think there's been some exciting conversation around the future surrounding Will Levis, especially a guy that was taken in the second round. Of course, the plan would have been, if the Titans could have pulled it off, to take him in the first round because I think that they wanted to get back in to do that. But they aggressively, in day 2, moved up to get him. So I'm sure that he's a candidate. Derrick Henry finished the day yesterday a lot better than he did against who was the team before?
The Texans.
The Texans, right. We had like 18 yards, 19 yards, something crazy like that.
He had 10 yards on 20 touches.
It's laughable. But 88 yards on 19 carries. This last game was a lot better performance than what we saw from him the week before. So, obviously, he's been the bell cow for this team for a number of years. So, if you had Derrick Henry on your MVP list, that would make sense. Tajay Spears has really shown his value, so to speak. I love when he gets the ball in his hands, a shifty running back, someone that's not easily taken down in those first couple of steps. Jeffrey Simmons. We even go switch to the defensive side of the ball because very rarely, even in our MVP discussion through the NFL, Blaine, nobody mentioned anything about like a T.J. Watt or a
Always hate on us defensive players, man.
Yeah, crazy?
Man. They have mentioned offensive tackle before us.
Hey, I don't say that like it's a bad thing. I mean, good night. Tackles are a premium nowadays.
Man, it's so hard to get after them. All the rules are set up for the offensive guys.
Well, I'm gonna get you on this discussion too, Joseph. But let's start with you, Blaine. So, if the Titans had to label an MVP, someone that they would say is their most valuable player, who would you say that is for 2023?
Well, that's a real complex question. And the reason why I say that is because how I would go about it is I'm going to look at each position side of the ball. Let's just say that. So I'm going to start with special teams. Folk has been special besides the one extra point he missed. He's been really good all season, very consistent, especially a guy that they needed consistency. So I would go there. Defensively, I have to say it's Autry. So I'm going to break it down. Danico. He's been phenomenal. He's having a career year with 11 sacks right now, or he's more than that.
He got a half a sack on Sunday, so he's 11 and a half, yes.
Yeah.
So that's I'm going to go there. So I'm going to break it down. Then on offense, I'm a little conflicted here, but I'm going Levis D-Hop.
Yeah.
Levis D-Hop.
See that?
Because we got to see Tannehill yesterday, who didn't look so good because he's not throwing the ball downfield a little bit. That Levis.
4 targets for D-Hop yesterday.
Probably leaning more towards D-Hop, I would say, for me personally, because he's exactly what I thought he would be. So then now I take those 3 guys and say, who do I think is the MVP? And that's a tough one. I'm probably going to lean with D-Hop.
Yeah?
Yeah, D-Hop. It's because he's 60 yards from 1,000 yards?
He's at 943, I believe.
939 is where he's at.
Yeah.
939. So I'm probably going D-Hop, but, I mean, Levis is part of that whole equation. So that's why it's hard for me to, but he's a young rookie quarterback, and D-Hop is kind of showing him the rope. So I give D-Hop, especially with his leadership skills behind the scenes, and even on the field, you can just see it. So I'm going to go D-Hop. Even though I love what Autry's done this year. I think he's played at a Pro Bowl level. I just don't think anybody's going to vote for anybody on the Titans besides maybe D-Hop for a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go D-Hop.
Okay.
Yep, I'm going to go D-Hop. You can break it down what you got, Bananas.
Yeah.
Bananas, what you got?
So on defense, I'm with you with Nico Autry. Just the absolute masterpiece of consistency right there, and has been in his entire time here. I would love for them to bring him back. He's done it with Big Jeff. He's done it without Big Jeff. Yep. He's done it with role players. He's done it with starters.
Inside, outside.
He has just done everything that you need from his position and from him as a veteran player. Harold Landry is also a sneaky pick for that too on the defensive side, especially maybe not at the beginning of the season, but ever since that bye week, he's been one of the top pass rushers in the NFL. And so he's a sneaky pick, but I think because Danico has done it the entire season, he would be my pick for defense. And on offense, I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins, but not just because of his stats, just because of what he's brought to this offense and giving Will Levis that safety outlet, but one that's producing a lot game in and game out. And so I think without him, this offense is significantly worse, and it is already not that good. We mentioned the stats last week about one of the worst offenses in yards per game since 1994, which you two remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
So just because of how he's changed this offense and what he's given and something that's already pretty bad, and he's been the biggest bright spot and the most consistent bright spot, I would probably have to go D-Hop more than the defensive side.
Yeah, I would almost say it's about to be unanimous, but D-Hop was on the field yesterday and wasn't targeted but 4 times. So his effect on the game, I keep saying yesterday, on Sunday rather.
Yeah, that's all right.
But his effect obviously was minimal with the number of targets that he was, receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So that meant that whoever was at quarterback makes a huge difference. And you kind of touched on that a little bit. He was Will Levis's favorite dude. Will Levis would find him on the field wherever he was at. And D-Hop still showed his value, too. It wasn't like some people thought he was going to come in here and be who was the guy, Julio Jones or somebody like that. With
In the
big
past
cash.
series, he didn't make it.
Yeah, Randy Moss, that kind of guy. But no. D-Hop still has a lot left in the tank. I don't know if we figure him into the plans next year to be a pivotal part of it. Right. Now, hopefully he is, because he's shown that he still can be, with that catch radius, a valuable asset to this offense. And he and Will Levis are on the same page as to where we saw yesterday Ryan Tannehill and he were not on the same page. So I'm going to say Will Levis, only because we did say – now, I thought about Jeffrey Simmons as well, but we saw the Titans defense really get after Tua Tagovailoa and company down there in Miami, minus the Big Jeff in the middle. Big Jeff came in, and after getting the bag, so to speak, has really shown that he's about playing football. He's not about getting rich, right? Coming in and making plays. I think he's blocking on offense, catching touchdowns. I mean, he was doing a lot of things that most guys at that position wouldn't do, especially given the circumstances. So he would be a candidate. But I'm just going to have to go back to the offensive side of the football and say that Will Levis really made a difference, and you saw a lot more consistency with him under center in just a short period of time. What do you got, Bananas?
Just my counterpoint to that in terms of D-Hop over Levis, do you think that Will Levis has the same type of season he was having if D-Hop wasn't on this team? Do you think he finds, maybe a Traylon Burks if he stays on the field, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine? Do you think he has that same connection with one of those guys if D-Hop hadn't signed here? Because that's the only point. I get what you're saying, because I agree. The offense completely changed when Levis got here, and it looked like a spark lit up. Even if they weren't winning a ton of games, you could still see something change. But if D-Hop wasn't here, does that spark even happen?
I'm being a realist, though. It should be co-MVP between the two of them, actually, because D-Hop was healthy. Was still able to make some of those same plays that he would have made if Will Levis were under quarterback. It's just that Ryan and he weren't on the same page, and he couldn't find him with consistency. I mean, if you think about it, him being on the field, his presence, was drawing penalties, all these things, because you have to pay attention to where D-Hop is on the field at all times. But you also have to have a guy to get him the football. Because if he wasn't targeted as many times as Will Levis targeted him this year, and sure, you'd have to have somebody that can impact the game like D-Hop did for him to be a favorite target of Will Levis, because if D-Hop weren't here, who would he find? I think there have been a number of occasions where Nick Westbrook-Ikhine or Kyle Phillips or Traylon Burks, any one of those guys could have stepped up, but no one has had that kind of impression that D-Hop has had in just 1 year here as a Titan. So, I think there may be opportunities in the future for one of those guys, especially a first-round pick from just a couple of years ago, to really make that kind of an impact. But we definitely saw the difference between Will Levis being in the huddle and Ryan Tannehill being in the huddle. And before this, I was saying, I remember when Ryan first got hurt, and I was saying, you never lose your job to injury and whatnot, But then when you saw Ryan get back in, and after having a week working with the ones, and I think that makes a huge difference. The week of preparation up to when you start. We still didn't see that much of an improvement in the offense when the veteran was back in there, which kind of showed whether, it was Will Levis being able to stand in the pocket. He got hit just as many times as Ryan Tannehill did, but what was he, sacked 6 times and hit 8 more times or something like that? Especially in crucial moments, like in that last 2-minute drive that they needed him to score some points and get at least down in the field goal range to tie the game. Good night, bro. I mean, just get the ball out of your hands. And I don't know what's up with that last play, Blaine, where they threw to the sideline and whatchamacallit didn't get out of bounds and the clock just runs out and next thing you know, the game's over. But that was decision-making coupled with taking a couple of ill-advised sacks. I'm not sure that would have happened if number 8 was in there.
He threw a couple murder balls too, and
Describe what is a murder ball? Like
he put his receivers in harm's way, and Traylon Burks specifically where Traylon Burks got open and found a hole, and he threw it behind him, and then Traylon Burks got knocked on his back, and his head hit. Scary second because he got up slow, but he was fine.
They called a penalty on that one, didn't they?
Yes, I think that was the one where he got the penalty. So, but Ryan Tannehill was not on it yesterday, especially early. He looked a little better in the second half outside of that last drive, but definitely didn't. You could see that they weren't gelling as well as Will Levis was when he was in there.
Yeah.
Well, I actually agree with Vrabel's analysis to leave Levis out there when Tannehill got hurt because he wasn't playing up to snuff and he wasn't playing as good as he was before he got injured. So I really thought that was a great decision. I completely agree with it because of his big playability and his big arm, and he could throw off of different platforms, which Tannehill doesn't. So as you saw, when he sat in the pocket, his first read wasn't there. He'd hold on to the ball. And I'm like, what the heck are you doing? You've been in this league way too long to know you need to throw the ball away or have your outlet, dump down. So I was really intrigued. If he doesn't play better than that the next game, I wouldn't be shocked at all if Malik Willis starts. And I'm saying not even that I'm a believer in Malik Willis. I'm just saying, why not put him out there and see what he can do? See if he's gotten better so you can get a jump start on whether he's going to be on this roster at all, or are we just going to let him go? Or maybe he increases his trade value. I don't know. Maybe somebody feels like they could fix him. I don't know. But, man, I was thoroughly disappointed. I'm sorry. Now, I like Tannehill, but I didn't like the way he played.
I like him too. But it's just the fact that I thought the future for him, if he were to stick around in Tennessee, just to be a veteran presence for a young quarterback, if things were to go wrong, like him getting hurt for a couple of games, I thought that Ryan Tannehill could, play that role.
You talking about for next year?
For next year. Oh. But from what I saw this last game, I'm like, maybe there's another Flacco type out there that can come in and do some stuff.
So, well, okay, let's go back to your premise. Have you ever seen a starting quarterback in the National Football League get cut from that team and then actually be the backup the next year, next season? I
don't think so.
So that's, as much as I think they should have a veteran backup next year, I just don't think it'll be Tannehill. I wish it could be, but I just think he's going to go somewhere else just because that's kind of how it all.
You think he can be a starter somewhere else?
I don't know. I just said start or backup. I don't know.
So
after that performance, I say backup. Yeah, man, he didn't show anything.
Based on the trends of this season, just assuming that it continues next year, which what's to say it won't? He will start multiple games next year in the NFL, even if he's
somebody may get hurt.
Backup, because
somebody get hurt. It's 57 quarterbacks started in the NFL this year.
It seems like Ryan Tannehill did not do well under pressure. And when you have an offensive line that is as dysfunctional as the one that he and Will Levis were dealing with this year, you have to be, really elite with the football if you're going to make a difference. Other than that, you're going to drown, like we've seen in a couple of occasions. Will Levis, with his young body, being able to take those shots and recover, just really didn't make that much of a difference. But he was taking just as many hits as the ones that we saw on Sunday. It's just that, at this point, Ryan Tannehill needs to be able to work in a pocket that is a lot easier to navigate.
So Vrabel's reasoning for putting Tannehill in the game was because he's the backup quarterback. He gives the team the best chance to win.
Sure.
That's not what I saw in that last drive. It's just not. And I'm not saying Malik Willis would have done better, but you got to think, like, if that's what you're going to get from your best starting quarterback, why not go see what you have in Willis and just see if he's even going to be on the roster in 2024.
Yeah, that's what I just
What year
said.
would that be for him next year, Malik? That would be his third year?
Mm-hmm.
So would that be considered, he's vested, would that be considered a quote-unquote veteran to back up the starter? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
No.
Yeah,
or do we need a double-digit guy?
Well, veteran also attached to that is experience.
And he
doesn't have that.
Touche.
So he's still a young quarterback because he hasn't had a lot of starts under his belt. So that's the only thing. You just hope that he can be. I just can't see him. The best case scenario, he's going to be on the practice squad because they want a veteran guy as the backup. I just don't see him being on the practice squad again next year and being that third guy. If you 3 years in and you still haven't made practice, I was like, being a third-round pick. It would be different if he was undrafted and then he, so, man, that's why I want to see him in a game and start from beginning and see if he continues to progress and give me somewhat light at the end of the time. I'm like, maybe. All I want him to do is say maybe to some other teams.
Yeah. What you're saying is that Malik Willis may be safe on our practice squad because we all know that practice squad players are available for anybody to sign.
Right. That's
right
true.
to your
Very
53
true.
man.
Yeah.
So if there was really not that much of an improvement in his game since he was a rookie, then
I don't know if I would bring him back in the
doesn't.
practice squad because I haven't seen the progress. So that's why I want to play him. That's why I want to play him.
So you just want to see what we got.
Yeah. I want to see progression. I want to see if in a live game, not no practice, not no preseason, a live game, if he's improved and is going through his progression reads, especially with this kind of offensive line who played better in this last game, considering even though they got still sacked a lot.
So the season's over for the Titans, pretty much, as far as the
that's
playoffs.
why I'm
whatever.
like, why not see him?
Okay. And so Will Levis is 70%. You just don't want to start him. You want to see what you got in Malik Willis.
I'm not this game. I would start him the last game.
Down in Houston.
Yeah, I'd start him the last game. Malik Willis.
You got two more games.
Yeah, I would want to see if Tannehill can rebound and play better because he was rusty. He rusty, but he went the whole game. That's what that doesn't sit well with me for a veteran. I could get you've been sitting for some weeks, 8 weeks. So now after that first quarter, he should have been on point. He should have been on point. Just the same reason why I thought he should have played in the preseason because he had a lower body injury. Your arm is an extension of your legs. So you needed him to play, and that's why he played like crap against the Saints because he wasn't sharp. He missed 2 guys wide open. They would have won that game. So he came back then after being injured again and then looked rusty. I don't know. I don't know if he's that dude again. I mean, like what he was playing with before. So I want to see if he can rebound, even actually to help himself to show that. Because he still believes, you know how we are as athletes, he still believes he's a starter in this league. If not, he shouldn't be playing. He should believe that he is, regardless if we watching him or not. He should believe that. So I want to see if he plays better this next game. And he cannot be rusty like that. They did a decent job considering where they're at in their careers as the offensive line. They had time. He was standing there baking that thing like a pancake. I'm like, come on, bro. Let the ball go. Let it. Almost like he was playing not to make a mistake. It was really uncanny. I've never seen stuff like that out of Tannehill. Like, dang, man.
It seems like most of Tim Kelly's offenses, and even going back to Art Smith's offenses, were predicated on 22 making a difference. But to have 22 take over a ball game, you've got to win the line of scrimmage, and that's something that has been a challenge for the Titans this year. So, in other words, the quarterbacks that the Titans employ usually benefit from a stout running attack, right? Where Derrick Henry is at least getting some good carries, getting some good yards, and you don't have the third and long to deal with where the pocket gets compromised. You know, quarterback getting hurt and everything else is going on. So I just don't think that there was much balance, right? And we were leaning too much on guys that leaned on the balanced attack more so than anything else. So maybe if we keep going back to this whole thing, we talked about this from week 1, even in preseason, the line struggles have definitely affected the productivity of the quarterbacks and the efficiency of this offense. So maybe a different pocket, one that was more manageable, would produce a better Ryan Tannehill or Will Levis at this point. But hopefully next year, I don't know what you do first. Do you find a compliment to Traylon Burks? He ain't going anywhere for at least a couple more years. D-Hop hopefully will be re-signed or come back.
Well, he has one more year.
He got one more year on his contract? Yeah. Well, good. So he should be back. But then do you start thinking about the future and matching up, a Deebo Samuel, Brock Purdy kind of situation where we've got these two that are going to be throwing to each other for a number of years? Or do we then start going to protection like that big boy down in Georgia? One of these guys that's supposed to be a first-round pick
some of the Notre
to be
Dame
a bodyguard.
guy, the Georgia guy.
Right.
I don't know their names.
But that's a 5. When's the last time we picked a lineman that high, though?
The guy who Isaiah Wilson.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was the first. Yeah, that was the.
Was he a top 5 pick though?
Oh, no, top 5. But he was first round pick.
Yeah. Right. And then
it's hard to get that top 5. I think that was. Where was Marcus? Marcus Mariota was he?
Mariota was.
He was top 10.
He was top 5 pick. Definitely a top 5 pick.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey,
he was second. He was second. Winston was
Mariota
first.
was
number 2.
Yeah. Winston was first.
Yeah. Hey, we got to step away. It's the time to take a break. This is Blaine and Mickey. Get on the phone, 737-1045. On the other side of the hour, number 2, Coach Dave McGinnis will be joining us, and he'll give us his thoughts about what he saw on Sunday and maybe even some other minutia around the NFL. I'm Brad Hopkins. He's Blaine Bishop. We will be right back.
While you've been patiently preparing for cooler overnight temps, your home's heating system may need some prep of its own. That's where my friends at Cool Ray can come in. They're hard at work preparing thousands of Tennessee residents for the cool down with a $49 furnace tune-up. So think of your furnace tune-up like maintenance on your vehicle. We all know what can go wrong if you neglect that, right? And if this is the year you finally need to fully replace your home's heating and cooling system, Cool Ray is armed and ready for same-day or next-day installation available on brand-new 10-star home comfort systems. Plus, they boost a 10-year parts and labor warranty on the new unit. And with the holidays just around the corner, remember some important holiday tips for your friends at Cool Ray. Like don't put a live or artificial tree near a heating vent and to keep your family home safe during the holidays. So schedule your $49 tune-up or any other heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical related by visiting online at coolray.com. No phone call, no wait, no worries. You pick the date and time that works for you. That's coolray.com.
Life is busy. We could all use some extra time in our day, which is exactly why Two Rivers Ford offers mobile service. We'll bring the service to your driveway at no additional charge. Oil changes, brakes, batteries, the certified technicians at Two Rivers will perform basic maintenance on your vehicle wherever you are, so you'll have more time for moments like this. Schedule your mobile service appointment by scanning the QR code or calling Two Rivers Ford today.
Welcome back to Blaine and Mickey. According to Tankathon, the Titans have the 7th pick coming in this round.
I thought they were 5.
I can't believe that's even a site, Tankathon.
So they were 5.
Oh, what happened? Who lost or won?
Yesterday with the Raiders winning, the Giants losing, it kind of shifted some things around.
So they are guaranteed a top 10 pick, as you
Yes,
said.
the lowest that they can pick is 9th.
Yeah, and obviously the chat board was giving us some education on linemen that were picked high in the draft. Jack Conklin's name came up.
Lewan was 10.
Taylor Lewan was 11.
Oh, he's 11. What were you?
I was 13.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was, I think Taylor was
pretty
back
high,
in
boy.
2000.
That's big money right there, man.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's when you know them super duper athletes, man. They just not in the first round.
You're done, bro. You're done.
Everybody dreamed of being in the first
Oh,
round.
my
I did too.
God,
And I was
dude.
like, dang, can I at least get drafted? And they said, yeah, Blaine, since you're crying, and we will.
So-
We'll draft you.
So,
13 and I was 214.
I was supposed to be-
Just think how long I was waiting crying.
I was actually supposed to be 14. I was supposed to be a Cleveland Brown.
How do you mean? How do you were 13? What do you mean? How you were
Well,
supposed to be 14?
Because Bill Belichick was the coach of the Browns at the time, and he traveled to Champaign on a few different occasions to figure out what
just
my
a few
game was
occasions?
like. Yeah. Oh, he went a few times.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Just to see what we were watching film together, see what it was like. And Nick Saban was the defensive coordinator
Right,
at that time, too.
yeah.
How cool would that have been? But anyway, I think the Titans got wind of that. Excuse me, the Oilers got wind of that and traded with the Eagles for that 13th spot. And snagged me instead.
Yeah, they worked me out too multiple times, and they got wind.
Who did, the Eagles?
I wasn't very good.
The Eagles?
The Bengals, everybody. I'm like, dang, man, I'm working out every day. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Because I had to take, hey, man, we're going to be passing through to go see B-Hop.
You're stupid.
Stop
Like in the
by. We're gonna
Midwest.
stop. You gonna work? I just worked there yesterday for this guy for like 2 hours. And then like, you got to go. I'll go again then.
Yeah.
I just went every time. I just probably hurt myself.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the
exhausted.
future, right? Because when the season isn't going according to plan, you've got to think about brighter options, right? And the future next year could be bright. We've got our quarterback. We've got, there's a backfield that's going to be in place. I mean, whether it's Tajay Spears and somebody else or whatever else, but still. There's reason to be excited. So with a top 10 pick, let's just say 7, because that's what Tankathon says, according to Joseph Bananas. Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Go ahead.
See, I never heard that sound.
With the 7th pick of the 2024 draft.
Have you announced one of their picks before?
No, I
Since
have
you
not.
have-
Have you done it?
No,
Yeah,
they
me
don't let
either. What's going on with that?
214 guys do it. I thought former first rounders do. I mean,
That's not how it goes, because I haven't been asked to do it.
I know Eddie and Dice. I'm trying to think who
Keith's done it.
Keith. Yeah, they
And
did.
he wasn't even a first rounder.
Yeah, he was.
I thought Keith was a
He was-
second rounder.
No, he was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
last
The
pick of the first
you're right.
round.
My bad. Sorry, Keith, if you're listening.
Yeah,
My apologies.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah.
seriously, I like the chime with that. Anyway, so what do you think when Roger gets up there and says the Titans have the 7th pick of the draft? Well, first off, where do you think that they should go? And it might be a bit much to ask who they should take. Joseph, you got your hand up. What's going on?
So before we do this, let me read who's in front, so you give you kind of an idea.
In front, what? In front of us?
The Titans.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, let's
So
do that.
number 1 is currently the Bears via
Oh my God!
via
All
the
those
Panthers.
picks. Yeah.
Number 2 is Arizona. Number
Ooh, the
3 is the
Cardinals.
Commanders. Number 4 is New England. Number 5 is the Giants. Number 6 is the Chargers, and number 7 is Tennessee.
Chargers.
Yeah, they and the only reason the Titans are behind the Chargers is because they won the head-to-head.
They need receiver help. Good night, Michael Pittman. Those guys are all. Allen, they're always hurt. Anyway, so back to the Titans at number 7. It might be a bit much to, put a name to the pick, and I think that we may disagree or agree with the position that needs to be picked. Obviously, I think you can always use some outside weapons, people that stretch the defense and really can make it harder or less manageable to attack a balanced offense. We always talk about protection too, because a quarterback is only as good as his pocket, and that has been somewhat of an issue. I think that they did good this past year in getting number 77, Peter Skoronski, in. I think that he's got a bright future, but he could always use a bookend, to help him consistently in that left tackle spot. So might be looking at a LT, might be looking at a receiver, maybe a running back. I don't know, but not with a high pick like that. Maybe I don't think defense really needs that kind of addressing with that high pick. So who do you think, Blaine, the Titans should take in that first round?
Well, as far as position, because I definitely haven't done any research on players. I know there's Alt from Notre Dame and some other guys from Georgia, tackles. I think offensive tackle, cornerback, and maybe a weapon, a receiver, is the positions you should be contemplating with this top pick. And then you kind of maybe go with the best player on the board. I really want to lean towards the offensive tackle because when Vrabel is the head coach, has the mindset of physicality, and if you want to be good at what his style as a coach is, you must be able to run the football. So, with that being said, I would lean towards the offensive tackle if I'm under Vrabel's system because it just doesn't work. And it really, Dillard's play really just wrecked the whole freaking offensive line. I mean, seriously. And he, by the way, he played in the game in the second half. He started the second half pretty much because Duncan hurt his wrist.
Right.
And he did an okay job, considering where he looked
No
before.
sacks, no pressures allowed by
Right,
Dillard.
exactly. So you go, well, dang.
Got to give credit where credit's due, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. He did a halfway decent job. I mean, expectations are high. So, he didn't live up to it, and now he's playing okay. That was kind of weird. Meanwhile, everything else was caving around Tannehill. So I would probably go offensive tackle. I know it's not sexy. It's not a, skilled position. But, man, if you in the NFL, you will not have success. And everybody's having issues with their offensive line, by the way. Not everybody, but there's more teams having just as much trouble, maybe not as bad as the Titans. But, man, you got to shore up this offensive line. And I think if they just get that one tackle, I think we can find some pieces already here and maybe, average free agent that we can fill the gap. I think we can. I really do. And maybe most of the guys, maybe are backups. But I think, man, we got some solid players, I think, in the right spots with a good tackle with Skoronski. And then maybe if you upgrade maybe at center with a bigger guy, have an athletic guy who can then move and be your guard center guy like Brewer, I think would be great. And then you get a starting guard. Brunskill has done a decent job. I think he has one more year on his deal. So, and then you get a right tackle, which I think maybe you can figure out one of the guys can be a right tackle.
Yeah, one of these dudes that we already have,
Dylan
I think, can play right.
MPF, or
Yeah.
somebody right. You're an offensive lineman. I mean, so then I'm thinking, man, these guys now are going to have all this experience, and then now you got some great backups, and then you get that solidified front five. I mean, man, I think you could be okay pretty quickly. Now you got to gel and have rhythm, and man, I was on a great team with you guys who had rhythm and almost could, talk to each other without talking to each other. That's how you want it. It's just hard to come by these days with new players every year moving all around. So I just really want to get the offensive line right. I really do. I do. That's the only way they're going to have success.
You know who I would take in that first round?
What position group? Or the player?
I'll give you the position group and I'll give you the player. When we come back, we got to take a break right now. This is Blaine and Mickey. He's Blaine. I'm Brad. Stick around.
Tackle.
Yeah, well, it could be.
No-brainer.
You don't know what I'm thinking at this point. Anyway, we'll talk about that more on the other side. And at 2:20, we'll catch up with Coach Dave McGinnis. He's going to give us his waxings about the game as he saw it, maybe even the future for the Titans as they get ready to go down and play the Texans for the second time in a month, 3 times, something like that. Mm-hmm. It's not been that long. Either way, stick around. We'll be right back.
Yeah, that's why I want to start Malik Willis so we can lose.
Stop it.
Yeah. Bye.
We are back for hour number 2 right here on Blaine and Mickey. I am Brad Hopkins filling in for Mickey Ryan. He is Blaine Bishop, as always, playing himself.
Yeah, man.
I said playing himself.
Yeah.
Hey,
hey, why are you laughing there, Banana?
No reason.
Listen,
God,
you and I
so
we were having a nice conversation during the break. And I was approached this morning at the gym. Guy says, man, why is everybody always hurt nowadays? You know? So,
the Titans and everything.
and I don't want to, trying to compare when we played versus today, we know that there was a lot more physicality even in the preparation. I think that sometimes that created a buffer for us. But the question I would have for you, Blaine, is do you think players have more of a say? Listening to Will Levis just right now, he's saying you got to listen to your body. Well, that might not have been an option back in 1990, whatever, when we played, right? Because they told you when your body was ready to play. It wasn't up to you to do that. So it seems like nowadays players have more say in whether or not they're healthy enough to play or not. One, do you think that that's maybe because of the salaries that we see nowadays? There's a lot more on the line, but those numbers could be inflated. Are players just hurt more so nowadays, or are we just looking at it that way?
Well, I would definitely say players are more hurt. Now, how much say-so they have, it's kind of interesting because I don't really know. If you're not practicing, I just want to say that then you're not going to actually play. But I think there's more data out there now and more information out there for them to get to see if they should be coming back or playing with an injury. And I think they're getting second and third opinions and smart on their part. And I think the league has kind of changed too. So there's a lot of layers to this for me personally when I start watching, because the league is definitely a lot more injuries are happening, not just at quarterback either. And some of it is just this generation is different, and because they are more knowledgeable, and because of the money that they are making, and they become they have a little more say so if they should be playing or not. So yeah, I think a lot has changed, but we could say that about the generation before us, and they would say that about us. So I just think that same layers continue to happen. Each generation makes more money, but better athletes, but probably not tougher and more, I guess, knowledgeable of the actual game. And I think those things factor into all of that. And, so, hey, more power to them. I'm happy to see just the league growing and guys, making the money they're making. But I sure wish they were, I would say, a little more pliable and be able to play a little bit more. But, yeah, hey.
Some would say that the older players were fatter. I'm saying that with tongue in cheek because now we have such a lean muscle mass, and these guys are like, they're fine-tuned athletes, more explosive. Yeah. And there's little room for, the kind of terrors and things that we, just kind of went through because we did have those layers of insulation.
Yeah, that's why I say they're bigger, stronger, faster.
Right.
Or are they more durable? That's why I talk about the pliability, like the flexibility, and then just the mental makeup of how this league and what they grew up watching and then how that has changed. So I think all those factors.
That's a great question. The mental makeup. We saw George Pickens under fire before we went out and had that electric game that the Steelers had. For not blocking. I mean, it was terrible watching him stand there, watching Warren getting battered around right in front of the goal line. I think that, had that been back in the day, he might not have made it to the sideline. He got jerked up by somebody for not performing. But the mindset was, and his explanation was, hey, you can get rolled up in a play like that.
I can get hurt myself.
You can get hurt. So do you think, you just mentioned mindset. Is it that to that degree to where it's having an effect on guys? Now, I get it. Concussions are now a part of the metric. And we see quarterbacks that aren't even taking the field. C.J. Stroud was out. Still out. Wow. Man, he must have got rocked. You see what I'm saying?
He just hit his head on the ground. I'm not going to say just. No one, they just pushed him. He hit his head after his shoulder hit the ground. Then he just kind of bop. And that was it.
Yeah, but you remember back.
But that's what happened to Tua. So I think that's why they're being a lot cautious about, that's why I say there's a lot more awareness about what's going on in the league. And so they're trying to protect him, let alone if it's a quarterback. Of course, they're going to protect the quarterback.
Just wondering about that mindset, though, like you were mentioning. Guys are saying, hey, look, I've got a lot riding on this. You guys want me to perform at my best, or you're going to start comparing me to guys around me because I'm not out there on the football field. But if I do go out there less than 100%, I'm not going to be able to give you the type of performance that would keep number 2 on the sideline. You see what I'm saying?
I'm going to speak from their mindset. Is they could say that we're just a lot smarter generation than your generation. Our generation. That's what they're saying.
Because are they playing longer? What about that?
They don't have to because they're making way more money.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Great point.
I'm gonna put in 7 years. I hit the home run. I made $100 million.
There's something to that, though. Think about
Yeah.
that. We had to play double-digit years to make the kind of money that they're making half the time nowadays.
I laugh. I was like, oh man, that guy's making in a year what I made in my career.
I mean, we just talking about.
Like, whoa,
we were just talking about my pick. I was 13th pick. My son was 134th pick.
Oh, wow.
He made more money than I did in his first contract.
Dang.
Isn't that something?
Well, that's all. You was a first round pick,
But
no
he
way.
wasn't. The point I'm trying to make, he still made more money than
he
me.
did not.
Yes,
he made more money.
did.
We gotta look that up during
My
the break.
signing bonus was $1.4 million. Think about that. That's a that's a third round pick nowadays.
He got that as a signing bonus.
Oh
Oh
man!
man!
Trying to get into
But
his
watch this. My
contract.
signing bonus was 25,000.
You know what Bruce's signing bonus was?
We were
Bruce,
same year, by the way.
You know what Bruce Matthews' signing bonus was? I think he got $2,500 and an El Dorado. I promise you.
Yeah. No, yeah. That's when I knew that the league should change their system. Because how does a guy who was as talented as him play this long and still not make more than a draft pick? That's not right. And that's when it changed. You can't have. I'm gonna just use you. You can't have Brad Hopkins coming here making more than a guy who was at that time probably a 7-time Pro Bowler. How does that happen? And that's what the rules were set up for that way. And then they changed as we got into the league and the free agency started, and it really kind of hit home after we were there in the league a couple of years because it really got closed on 93 our year draft. So yeah, and that's like, dang man, that's messed up. Dang, he was a living legend. I'm like, wow, dang, this guy's making more than he made. Oh, that's not right. What's going on?
I remember guys kind of feeling a certain way when I came in, and I was just making fun of the fact that my money nowadays is penance compared to what these kids are making. But when you were a player that came in making money immediately without having proven yourself, the Sam Bradford rule was definitely needed. Remember when Sam Bradford got that $50 million guaranteed or something, hadn't stepped on the football field, and I seen he just did not work out. They were making sure that didn't happen again, and it made sense, which is the reason why the rookie salary cap came into existence, because they wanted to make sure that these guys, at least over time. Now, the rookies in their first round are still making really good money.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? But you're not going to see, that trickle down to a guy making more in the second round than somebody made, as a 5 or 6 year veteran in the league. That just really don't make no much sense,
Yeah. I want you to talk about being first round, and we're not talking about salaries, but just talk about the pressure you had on you being a first round pick. And I don't think a lot of people think it is, and I think they just expect everybody to just come in and be great when you have to go through the process yourself and find your way as a rookie with that kind of pressure being a first-round pick. I mean, did you feel any of that? Kind of take us through your rookie year and how what you were going through, if anything.
I'm looking at the chat here because somebody said that we need to draft somebody this year that can have or make an immediate impact.
Yeah, of course.
That's what they expect.
That's what they expect.
So that expectation itself right there, I mean, that put a lot of pressure on anybody that was taken in,
I had
with that
no
kind
pressure.
of pick. Right, but
Last round, no pressure. If I made the team, yahoo!
Yeah, and we're being graded. We're being graded on that expectation, right? Yes. Traylon Burks was under fire because of what was it? What's the thing he's dealing with?
Well, he's got all
with the inhaler. Asthma. That's it.
Asthma when he
first
first got
came.
here.
Yeah,
now
all the
knee
stuff.
injury,
All the
concussion.
stuff.
Yeah,
And on
he's
top
not
of all of
available.
that, and on top of all of that, it was you got to be A.J. Brown.
Well, see,
right,
and
that's
see,
another
I never
thing.
said that because that just they felt like since they traded for him, but nobody was ever going to be A.J. Brown. That just was never
but
gonna happen.
to Bananas' point,
that's the expectation because
Exactly.
they traded him and then drafted him.
there's a reason why
I keep
they're
it separate.
drafting high in the first round, and it's usually to replace somebody that was either pretty good and went on to free agency or made some money someplace else, or there was a subsequent need there that they needed to have that position filled by somebody that could make a difference. So here comes some 21, 22-year-old snot-nosed rookie that's really trying to make the adjustment.
Be hot.
And I had some more snot in my nose than you not even believe. I didn't even know what the run or the shoot was, and that's what we were running.
Oh
So
my gosh.
the point was that they don't care about where you were as a All-American coming out of college. You need to play like an All-Pro because they put so much in investing. Exactly. From day one, you need to come in there with the appearance that you can do it, which is why it makes sense because Will Levis, and you're talking about.
No, I want you to tell us, did you feel that pressure?
I did. Oh, you
How
kidding
did it
me?
affect you? Did you get PO'd? Is that when you kicked me out of the other
I didn't
room?
kick you out of the house.
kicked
You
me out of the
left
house.
on your
I
own.
was like,
For
what
those
are you
that don't
doing?
know,
What
Blaine was my.
happened? They're blaming me for the whole team.
For those that don't know, Blaine and I were roommates our rookie year until our second year. When
Yeah.
he started making some cash. Then he got his own money. Then he
Oh,
got
I
his
didn't
own
make no
crib.
cash. I still
Well, you
made,
were
I made
yeah.
125.
Because Blaine was trying to hedge the fact that he might not be in Houston, so he really didn't want to invest in getting a lease somewhere. So he said, "Let me borrow your room, your extra
I'll
room."
pay you
here."
rent.
But guess what? And then how many years did you play with us after that?
Yeah, well, I did, but
so,
I never knew though. So
Anyway.
that's the way the life of a late round pick. That
right.
You better live
That's
like
exactly
that. Or you won't
true.
make it.
That's so true.
No
The
doubt.
life of a late round pick.
But I mean, how much does that affect you? Because there were articles in the paper every
Dude,
week because
every
you were the
week
first
they're trying to
round
tell me
pick.
I need to get out of
Whether
here.
you play good or bad, I was like,
Exactly.
dang,
Mostly
do we have
bad.
anybody else on the team?
I struggled. Honestly, I did. Because think about that. I went from a traditional pro-style offense to one where we had 4 receivers, sometimes an empty backfield, the pocket rolled to its right and its left. Shoot, Warren Moon was like 14 years older than me at the time, so I got an old man back here, quarterback, really looking at me, breathing that down my neck. Like, what are you doing, rookie? You need to get in a position to help me out here. So John
Did you
McClain
ever
was
go
writing
through
stories.
depression or just like it was hard to deal with? Or
at the time,
how
Blaine-
did you fight through that?
At the time, Blaine, I wouldn't have known what depression was. I know that I was struggling. I know that I, at one point, was thinking, hey, shit, I'm about to leave this joint and go open up a car wash in my mom's house. I'm not even listening to these dudes talking crazy to me.
Okay,
I'm serious. I'm not even joking.
yeah, I
So,
believe.
yeah.
Because the run and shoot, you were like, I didn't even know what this is. What are they talking about? Because you were always out on an island and you had to be the best athlete on the dang freaking field.
Hey, before we go to the break, somebody wants a roommate story. So I'm going to give him one.
Uh-oh. I don't remember that.
Long John Silver's.
No, I don't know about Long John Silver.
Yes, you do.
Hold away. No.
Do you remember when I was looking at your plate after we finished our Long John Silver's meal and there was all that hot sauce on your plate?
Oh.
And I said, I'll bet you won't drink all that hot sauce.
Oh, yeah.
And you said, all right, I'll do it for $100. And you down that whole plate of hot sauce. Did you get sick in the
I might have
parking
got
lot?
sick
I
at the
think you threw
stomach.
up in the parking lot.
But yeah, I definitely ate it. Yeah, I drank it and everything.
Blaine would have done anything for cash back in the day because, like we said, he was a
man.
starving artist of sorts.
A starving artist. So we're going to break it out.
So
I was a starving NFL player, hoping I made the team.
Not a professional football player, a starving artist.
Yeah.
Starving artist was listening to Blaine tell the story. He didn't make no money, which obviously
I
he
was
wasn't
an
making some good money.
executive. I mean, I made 125.
We got to step away. Coach Dave
What are you
McGinnis
talking
will be on the other side
There
and
you
give
go.
us
Look it up.
his thoughts about the game. And of course, the upcoming game as the Titans get prepared to go down to Houston, the place where it all started for this franchise. Anyway, we'll be right back. More Blaine and Mickey right here on 104.5 The Zone.
I ain't have a car either.
Welcome back to segment number 2 on Blaine and Mickey. I am Brad Hopkins, filling in for Mickey Ryan. He is Blaine Bishop, and it's now time to talk to Coach McGinnis. Dave McGinnis actually was on the staff when Blaine and I were part of the Oilers-Titans franchise. Yeah, one of my favorite coaches, as a matter of fact. Coach McGinnis, welcome to the show. How you doing, brother? Do I need to bring him up?
Christmas to you. Same thing to Blaine. I'm doing good. Good to be on with you guys.
Was Santa good to you, Coach Mack? Did he bring you what you wanted?
Always. Always.
That's right.
Yeah. I think Santa comes to me first, and I don't ask him why.
Why does he come to your house first?
Yeah, he comes first every year. Every year comes first.
That's awesome. Well, the Titans game did not work out like Titans fans would have liked it. They fell short with the possibility of maybe tying it up and taking it into overtime. Seemed like overtime is the thing here for the Titans. At least they're playing competitively. But just give us your thoughts, first off, the conclusion to the game and moving forward, what you think would happen this upcoming week. Start with the game that we saw on Sunday.
Yeah, well, Brad, I mean, this is the 7th one-score loss that they've had. So in those one-score losses, it can flip either way. And, and as I say a lot on the broadcast and, when I'm talking to people just out and they're asking me, I said there are always moments in the National Football League game where the game can flip. And in those moments, if you're going to flip them in your favor, you have to make the plays positively, on the positive side in your favor. And you have to be able to do that. And to be able to do that, somebody or some unit has got to come up with a big play in that moment. The issue is when does that moment happen? Well, you never know until you're in it. And so that's why when it arises, you've got to make the play. And so if you've got to make a stop, or if you've just scored to go ahead and then you need to make a stop on defense and get the ball back, and you're not able to do that. I mean, it all goes hand in hand. But when you have 7 one-score losses, it shows that regardless of the injuries that you've had and the in and outs that you've had with your roster, you're still playing very competitively. But competing and effort in the National Football League should be a given. I mean, that's a given. This is both of you are professional athletes, and you both played for double-digit years because you were very competitive, and at the same time you gave it everything you had every single game. And so that's to be expected when you're on the field. And so to win a game, you got to make plays to turn the game, and they just haven't done that enough this year.
6 sacks, 8 more hits. It seems like the troubles that have plagued the pocket, not only did they catch up to Will Levis last week, which put him on the injury list and gave Ryan Tannehill the start. What do you think was more problematic? Was it maybe the quarterback play at that position itself, or was it really the integrity of the pocket that has been compromised for most of 2023, Coach McGinnis?
Well, it's protection issues, and the issue with the protection is this. There have been moments in these games when I talk about moments as to when if you could get a 2-score separation, then you at least had the defense would have to play your offense 50-50. But when they know you have to throw, that's a whole different world right now, and especially with the turnovers that they've had in the offensive line. The consistency there, has not been there all year just because of injuries. And so when you're in that situation, the best way to avoid that, they avoided it for the first 3 quarters because they had the run game going. They got the run game going. They were getting a nice push on the run game. Derrick Henry was running very well. Derrick Henry's going to run well when you can get him to his 3rd step, just like any back in the National Football League. But then when you get the score flipped and now they know that you have to throw it, and they can just tee off and come after you. And basically, they're doing one or two things. They're either loaded up and bringing more than you can block, so that you're going to have to defeat them with hot routes on the outside, or they're rushing with 4 and covering with 7. And when it breaks down, and then the quarterback's moving back there and trying to find an open receiver, well then your percentages go way down. So protection this year, because of what's going on, and not only with the offensive line, it's been with the protection unit, and protection unit. I put into the protection unit is receivers getting open early enough, tight ends helping when and doing effective chips when they're asked to chip before they go out. It all goes together. But the big part of it, especially with this football team, the way they're configured now with their roster is they need to be able to make defenses at least have to play them 50-50. You can't just let them know that you're throwing every time, because it's not to your advantage right now.
Coach Mack, you mentioned the fact that protection is not just those 5 big bodies up front, but it is tight ends chipping, running backs chipping, maybe even receivers running the right routes and being in a position that the quarterback expects them to be in, so that way the ball is released with rhythm. Do you think that might be a part of it, especially since we saw only 4 targets to who has been their favorite receiver in that offense, D-Hop? It just seemed like they weren't on the same page.
Well, they're going to take D-Hop away. I mean, any defensive coordinator that is paying attention is going to take D-Hop away, from this offense. And it doesn't necessarily have to double him from the start, but they're going to roll him. They're going to roll somebody underneath him and somebody over the top of him. And when the receiver part, it's not running the wrong route. It's getting open early enough. Getting open early enough, separating early enough. You hear me talk a lot about on the broadcast about separation, either when you're playing defense or when you're playing offense. But offensively, getting route separation quickly so the ball can come out on time. And the ball on time is not when you make your break. It's right when that break is anticipated, because as both of you guys know, and our listeners are sophisticated enough to know too, it's a matter of milliseconds as far as the way whether it's good or bad. And so you've just everything has got to work together better. And to me, it's working when you can at least have a run threat that you're posing with your offense to opponent's defense.
Well, with Coach Mack giving us the Mack Attack from Titans Radio. And, Coach, man, there was some ding-dongery going on in this game I watched last night there with the Ravens and the referee. Have, in all of your years, ever seen a safety where the referee tackled the actual player? That's what happened. He tripped over,
No. And look, first of all, let me just say this. And you've heard me, Blaine. And look, I am not. It's low hanging fruit to just bash officials all the time. But when they're incompetent, I'm going to say it, because when I was coaching, I couldn't say it because I was making money, but I didn't want to pay $100,000 a week to express what I wanted to express. Now I can say it when I see it, and what it is at times it's very, very inconsistent. They don't make their decisions fast enough. And the issue is and sometimes they have to huddle so much to make those decisions. And then the calls are, not only in our game, I'm just talking about throughout the league. Yeah. Another one, and I'll get to the umpire. Ever since they put the umpire back there with the referee, several years ago. And so especially when you've got a quarterback like Lamar Jackson, if you're an official, if you're an umpire back there and you studied any tape, he's not going to stand in that cylinder. He started backpedaling about like somebody in the 7th grade. He got on his heels so fast and he was going down, and then he tackled Lamar Jackson for a safety. And to me, it's a clown show. It truly is a clown show, just like in our ball game and in a couple of the others that I saw this week. That when they call roughing the passer for guys that are coming in and on their second step, hitting the quarterback in the midsection, and all of a sudden, that's egregious. That's and as I say it, and when I say it, I'm not saying it, to try to be funny, and I'm not saying it to just try to, as I say, pick low hanging fruit. That's professional malpractice. It really is. And I can just, I can see the coaches on the sideline, not only talking about our head coach, I'm talking about head coaches around the league, just, about to lose their minds because it's, you heard Belichick get caught on that hot mic saying, hey, you gotta give us time to change. When they change, it's just so uneven around the league right now. I think, and what I don't like, and I know listeners don't like, because people tell me they don't, what they don't like is that it interrupts the flow of the game. But I do have listeners tell me they love it when I talk about the officials because that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. They have cost probably some head coaches their job and some players too at the same time. The Titans had a lot of penalties, which
too many.
Way too many. But there's one penalty, and I kind of watched this personally over my time. I thought it was an egregious penalty. You tell me, do you think they need to change the rule for holding by a defensive back because that becomes then a automatic first down? Yeah. I think it should be a 5-yard holding penalty or whatever holding you want to give it, 10 yards. and then not give an automatic first down unless it's within that range. I'm like, man, you can almost call holding on a corner almost every play. This is a pass play.
Absolutely, and that I'll tell you, the one that drives me out of my mind is the hold away from the play.
The play is not impacting. Yeah,
it's not even impacting the play, and then you got some flag happy, back judge or side judge standing over there away from the play, and it has nothing to do with the play. And look, if they tackle somebody or they grab him or hold him, but the incidental contact and the incidental reach and grab, those people calling that have never played defensive back in the National Football League. Never, ever.
Oh, so you tell me I should be a referee? Oh, man, good idea, Coach. Thanks. I appreciate it.
That's just part of it. Well, there's only one referee, the guy with the white hat, and the rest of the clown show follows.
Well, I would fit into the clown show, so I definitely would do some clowny stuff there, but that would be fun. We're on with Coach Mack giving us a Mack attack. I guess one more thing about the game. Yeah. What was your observations of Tannehill? And in particular, the last drive. Him holding on to the ball was like, oh, man, this game was just so for me. But you just made it come on, throw the ball out of bounds and get to your outlet, man. Come on.
Well, what he's waiting to do is because he needed yardage, he's waiting for some guys to get open. I mean, that's what was going on, and that's where I come back to the separation. And
you gotta let it fly and believe they're gonna get there, man. I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah, well, it all has to go together. And here's the other thing. To me, see, that's the situation I'm talking about. You don't need to put yourself in that situation. That flips right back on the defense, allowing their offense to take that drive. Geno Smith has done it 2 weeks in a row. You're going 92 yards the week before and going 75 yards. I mean, you've got to those are the moments in time I'm talking about in a game where it doesn't come down to that final part of it. You can keep the final part of it from ever happening by being able to shut the water off when you need to.
Well, yeah, they are also picking on Trey Avery, and I thought he was in good position. He just couldn't make the play, and that's why he becomes, an undrafted player. I thought he still was in good position. Those guys made some great plays, man. Great throw with the Metcalf, the one-hander, and that shows you where he's at. To me, in the depth chart, he should be somewhat of a role player and not an actual starter, even though he did do a okay job.
Yeah, well, that's where this roster is right now, right. And you had there were what 7 players out there on defense that didn't start for this team in the first game. Now that's crazy. I mean, it really is, and especially it's in the defensive front, it's in the secondary, and it's a linebacker. But that's where you are with this roster right now. And so, but every player that's out there, I mean, I watch them practice every week. I mean, they're coached up, to win the game. And here's the thing that I will say about these guys, and not any specific names, but they're playing as hard as they can. They really are.
No question.
They're doing everything that they can. But that's why there are tiers in this league, of players. And when you get down to this part of your roster like this, well, then you just need some advantageous things to happen for you. And they've happened early enough in some of these one-score losses, but just didn't have enough to be able to finish it off, and not just finish it off at the end, but the moments in time that I'm talking about, make some plays that'll flip the game back to your favor. Just like what happened. I mean, we saw it happen. I mean, we saw a glaring example of it down there in Miami. You had the game won, then you came back and you lost the game, but then you're able to come back and win the game again. But you can't live like that in the National Football League week after week after week.
If you're one of those fans that likes to put the TV on mute and then turn on 104.5 The Zone, then this voice sounds very familiar. He is Coach Mack, and he and the voice, Mike Keith, have done a tremendous job of relaying to us the action that's going on the field. So I saw this defense from the very beginning against the Seahawks really get after Geno Smith, really make it hard for that, the pocket to really be what it needed to be for them to be as effective as they have been to get to that 7-7 record that they were before they came into Nashville. So, Coach Mack, what stood out to you most about the defense that was without Big Jeff for another week?
Well, the best thing, B-Hop, that they did, and let's go right into that dovetails to the early part of our conversation. They did a really good job of stopping the run. They did an excellent job of stopping the run. And And at least when you do that, and, I've called defenses for a lot of years in this league, and I know if somebody's going to be, one-dimensional, at least I've got a chance to work some things, especially when I'm a little bit down in personnel with some of the things, that I may want to do. I've got to decide, because they had a three-headed monster at receiver, three different types of receiver. You got to pick your poison with those types of things. But the first thing that they did coming into that ball game that they did not do the week before, against Houston, was they were able to stop the run. Seattle was trying to control. Pete Carroll was trying to control that game with the run game. Well, the Titans defense did not allow him to do that. And so then, they go to those three receivers, and each one of them at some point in time just made an athletic play. And you know what? That's just what it was.
This week they're going to be playing maybe against C.J. Stroud if he comes off of the concussion protocol, and he's yet to play against the Titans this year. So we haven't seen what the rookie phenom has been bringing to the table that the whole league has got to experience. What are some of the things the intangibles that he brings to the table that could be problematic for this defense coming up this weekend?
Well, he's very accurate. He throws it on time. He's decisive. He's gotten more decisive as he's gained confidence, throughout the time before he got injured. They were missing him. They started Case Keenum against us. Case Keenum did just enough to win that ball game against us. Then he goes out and has the next week, which is the way it's going to be, and throws two picks. Gets benched. Davis Mills comes in. C.J. Stroud, their offense won't have any different plays but they'll operate more efficiently because C.J. Stroud is a better quarterback than both of those guys I just mentioned. And so once they have him back, well, then they'll be able to operate at a higher level, not doing anything different. The one thing that has to happen in this ball game that didn't happen here against Houston 2 weeks ago is we can't let Devin Singletary take the game over running the football. You just can't do that because they were able to do that when they were here. So you start with that, and then we'll see how much C.J. Stroud can work.
But we have the same kind of personnel that could play the keep-away game itself if we give the ball to Derrick Henry enough times. And we saw 19 carries producing just, 12 yards shy of 100 yards. Throw Tajay Spears in the mix. We have that kind of ability too. So are we putting too much pressure on the signal callers versus maybe running the most efficient style of offense that gives us the best advantage, Coach Mack?
No, when you run, this is really the first week we've had a lot of success running the football. And they've tried a lot. The week before they didn't have any. So I still go to the consistency of all of it. The consistency of all of it's what you have to have. As I said, Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears, they absolutely can move the chains, but they've got to be able to get to their second and third step because there's no back in the league. You block for some great ones in your time. You can't do anything unless the people up front get the initial surge and a push to get into that second and third step on a consistent basis.
Well, Coach Will with Coach Mack giving us the Mack attack. I just want to ask you one more last thing. You talked about winning and closing out games, and then naturally the Titans have lost I don't know how many games there at the end. But is winning contagious, but also losing is contagious? How would you finish that statement?
To me, I don't. Here's what happens. Mm-hmm. Just like when they won against Miami, they had all the confidence in the world, and I think they have all the confidence in the world. They're going to win every game they go out there to play. But again, to me, it's making plays. You could put a handful of plays out there that could have been made offensively or defensively in any of these 7 one-score losses that would have flipped the game. But when you don't make them, it's not the fact that it's contagious. It's that you just need to be better at making those plays at those critical moments.
And one more thing, we talked about injuries here, me and B-Hop, and we're just talking about maybe more so this new era of the NFL. But it's been really consistent in that injuries keep happening a lot in the National Football League. Do you think this is good for the league? It's almost every game I'm seeing multiple players finish the game, and then some star players not even playing games, as we know with C.J. Stroud and different players, and even with the Titans. So what do you think about the injury prospects here in the National Football League? Has kind of occurred a lot these last couple of years?
Well, I think the type of injury makes a difference. And the biggest thing is the way – look, it's different than from when you guys played. This concussion protocol, this concussion protocol, both of you guys were concussed your whole career.
That is not funny, Coach Mack.
We both laughed.
but it's the truth. But it's the truth. I mean, when I was playing the Southwest Conference, coming up playing that load option, I was concussed probably all of my college career. And you know what? Didn't miss a game. It's different now. That is different.
Doing that. Yeah.
No. And it's better. It's better now. You know,
Absolutely.
so the player protection for their health is much better now. So I don't think it's anything that is anybody is not doing. I think there's just more emphasis and focus on the health of players than there used to be, which is the absolute truth.
Yeah, no
Coach,
doubt about it.
Leave us with I know you watched all the Christmas Day action in the NFL with 3 games on Monday night, which should have only been 1. Leave us with your MVP to this point.
To the league or the
Jackson.
Titans?
Well, we'll go with the league because, obviously.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. Not even close.
Lamar Jackson. I mean, yeah. Well, no. I mean, it was head to head. You know, it was head to head right there with he and the Niners.
Purdy,
and look, this dude, is special because you talk about, and now again, was his protection great? No, but look. There's a difference if your protection breaks down and you've got Houdini back there, which is what he is.
It's a fact.
And the same thing. You watch Patrick Mahomes. That game they lost. He was under assault that whole ball game by the Raiders, but he was getting away from them. He was getting away from them, and at least giving them a chance. So those guys are special. You know, those types of players are, but they can move, but can also, and again, now to me, the new offensive coordinator for the Ravens has done a marvelous job, with Lamar, because Lamar Jackson used to just take off running to run. He's taken off moving now to look downfield to throw it. And when he has to run, then he's eating stripes quick. But you ask me for my MVP at this point, Lamar Jackson.
There you go.
Here.
Coach.
Nice. And Coach McGinnis, you've done a terrific job of giving us the Mac Attack. We'll talk to you soon.
Guys, you know how much I enjoy talking ball with you two guys. And again, as I say, I know you're not concussed now. See you.
oh no!
Yeah, I think Blaine's still in the cloud right now. No, I'm just playing. Anyway,
Storage cloud, man. Storage cloud, man.
We'll be back to finish up the final segment of Blaine and Mickey right here on 104.5 The Zone. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Now look.
Time to land the plane here on Blaine and Mickey. I'm Brad Hopkins, filling in for Mickey Ryan. He is Blaine Bishop. Been an awesome show. We just finished talking with Coach Mack, giving us the Mack attack, give us his assessment of Sunday's unfortunate loss to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I will say the Seattle Seahawks did have a lot to play for, and they've got some star players. You know, Geno Smith has done a good job. I still think that they're probably in line for a quarterback, given the fact that he and Drew Lock, despite Drew Lock leading that fourth-quarter comeback last week, Geno Smith doing the same thing this week, I think that they're looking for a more solidified future. And Pete Carroll ain't going anywhere anytime soon. I can see that man coach until he's 100 years old, I promise you. As long as they got that gum that he can chew, he is he's a superhero. But either way, I did tease at the beginning of the second hour my draft pick for the Titans at number 7. And I'm going to contend that picking somebody that can be playing next to Peter Skoronski for – now, this is my mindset thinking the way me and you played, Blaine, the next 10 years, okay? Some guys that are going to play 2-3 contracts with the Titans. That's the way you create the kind of consistency that helps the Titans create a legacy, so to speak, and give them a year-to-year possibility of getting to the playoffs, right? So I'm saying getting that left tackle. You know, I understood what you were talking about. A cornerback, that'd be great. A shutdown guy that can take away that part of the field. Yeah, you did.
Well,
tackle,
you said
wide receiver. Yeah.
And as well as cornerback would be top priority. Now, what order they would be, and I said I would lean towards the offensive tackle because of Vrabel as the head coach is a run-dominant team. And if you don't have a good offensive left tackle, you're not going to make it in this league. And they don't, and that pretty much wrecked them. So who's your pick?
Well, the fact that I'm going to go with, like you just mentioned, offensive tackle, Joe Alt.
Yeah, from Notre Dame.
Yeah. Now, there's also a big Georgia tackle I think that's supposed to be coming out this year that might make a difference, too. Because, you can't go wrong with the SEC tackle. But I'm thinking a guy that could really –
Well.
Who? Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, we did draft one, didn't we? Wasn't he from Georgia, too?
Yep.
Okay, well, I take that back. Isaiah Wilson, yeah. Anyway, but the point still stands that getting somebody that you wouldn't mind investing in that first round, especially a top 10 pick, getting a guy that makes a difference. That way, Will Levis – with this almost like subconscious, like he doesn't even think about the pocket when he's back there. Them big guns are back there for a reason. He's been able to take shots and rebound from them and continue to do some really good things. But let's just think if he had, the balance of a running attack and also didn't have to think about someone breathing down his neck from behind, and getting that personal protector of sorts would be a tremendous thing. And that would then trickle down to everything else. Right? I think then you see an offense that maybe puts points on the board every time they're on the field, or at least is giving the defense a good field to work with if they did have to, turn it over on downs or something like that. But I think the consistency comes from having the big bodies up front, being able to keep that pocket integrity, allowing the quarterback to do his job, even running backs doing their job, and that's the kind of balance that we need, and it starts with the big bodies. So give me Joe Alt from Notre Dame.
Yeah. I'm not going to pick a player as I said before, but offensive tackle is probably where you lean to. But you always go for a playmaker. Here's what I will say: you can't let past experiences and failures dictate how you predict what you're going to draft now. Just because you drafted a horrible player in Georgia player, you can't let that scar you in this year. No different than when you sign a wide receiver who were, let's say, over the hill or a veteran type player, getting D-Hop, thinking, oh, he's going to be just like the past, older receivers. You have to do your due diligence and do your research and feel conviction about the players that you want. And regardless of what happened with past players, because they're all their own individual players. So you got to keep that all separate and keep that consciousness in the back of your mind. But in reality, you have to do every player as individuals and different than past because they are also different. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind drafting a Georgia tackle. If he's the number 1 rated or top 2 tackle, I'm going after him. If I believe he can be the guy that can do the job for 10 years like Lawan, or who wasn't 10, or B-Hop, or how many all the different tackles we've had, they've all had success. So that's what I want because that's the only way this thing is going to tick. And especially when this now offense, if it continues with Kelly, which I think it will, is now going to be more Levis dominant than running back dominant. So you must have that offensive line, and in particular the left tackle, solidified.
What you got, JB?
So here's where I stand with it is everyone's quoting and citing the Bengals and how they've drafted over the last few years, getting Burrow and then the wide receivers with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and having all those guys and kind of pushing the offensive line back to later, till now more recently, and kind of going free agent. Well, Blaine, we've talked about this on and off air, is the free agent market is so much better for wide receivers than it is for offensive linemen because teams are not letting good offensive linemen go. These good wide receivers, however, they're looking for some big contracts, and so they're going to free agency. Just some names off the top of my head: T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Hollywood Brown over at the Cardinals right now, who is DeAndre Hopkins' teammate. These guys are going to be available, and Rand Carthon and the Titans have money to spend. So go get what is the biggest issue this year, and it was the offensive tackle. Go get and solidify your left tackle, or you got to go left tackle because I think you're right, Blaine. You mentioned it earlier that you have some guys on this roster that can slide into right tackle, at least for next year. Go get and solidify that left side of your line, help your quarterback out, and then trust Rand Carthon. And that's the stipulation with this. You got to trust Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel to make the right decisions in free agency and spend the money wisely, but go out and get your guy in free agency to complement DeAndre Hopkins and as another weapon for Will Levis.
So what you're saying is there's probably not going to be a tackle that they can take in free agency, so you might as well go ahead and plant one in the ground, get a good seed that can develop into the guy you need. And then after that, I don't really think time is a luxury to be able to develop any other position. You need immediate impact players, which then lends to the free agency market. Is that where we're going?
There's never any left tackles available because that's a premium position.
Got you.
Free agency.
Got you. But you can go ahead and buy a guy off the street, so to speak, that's looking to make a name for himself and, of course, get the check, right? But then can also come in and do some of the things that are required to make this offense balanced and efficient. That make sense?
Yeah.
So I dig that. I don't think that, when you look at the situation as it is, I'm not saying Mike Vrabel is on any sort of hot seat, but any stretch at all. I think that, he's been a victim of just as many things that have affected this offense from a personnel standpoint as anything else, right? But with that being said, it's not like he has a long leash of 3 or 4 years to kind of assemble the kind of team that can then fight the Jaguars that have their quarterback, that can fight the Texans that have their quarterback, that have, even the Colts have their quarterback. We just didn't see much of him because he got hurt early on. But there's a lot of newness. As a matter of fact, other than Trevor Lawrence is the oldest tenured quarterback in this division.
And his future with Jacksonville is currently being questioned based on health.
Are we doing that?
Not by me, but I've seen it. I've seen it out there.
I disagree with the premise here. You win 5 games, you're always on the hot seat. This league is built on winning. Regardless of how long you have tenure, there's a lot of things in life that aren't fair in being a head coach. And some guys 1 year get coach of the year, the next year they get fired. So that's just kind of the way the league is. Now, do I think he will get fired? No. But I think he should be on the hot seat because if you don't produce, regardless of getting to pick your groceries or not, you pick your groceries this year and you didn't do so well. You thought you would be a playoff contending team. So you didn't. So I feel like, he's going to be on the hot seat. Absolutely. Nobody can get away from this league, even the great Bill Belichick, without winning. Just gave him more time. That was 3 years in a row. He hasn't been to the playoffs, or 1 year he did. Hasn't done too much since Tom Brady left. So, yes, he's on the hot seat, no different than any other coach. Absolutely. If you're not thinking that way when you're in the ownership group, when your team doesn't produce and you don't win, you haven't even won in the division. Think about that now. That is pretty hard to do. I don't think there's ever been a coach of the Titans that didn't win in a division game. They kept their job. So I know absolutely he's on the hot seat. Yeah.
A lot of newness, though. You got a new quarterback, got a new general manager, trying to put together the right kind of chemistry.
I didn't say he's get fired, but you're always on the hot seat when you don't win. You don't make the playoffs. You don't win in the division. Hopefully he wins one of these last two.
They don't bench coaches, so
he's
going to be here or he's not. So.
I think he'll be fine. He'll be somewhere else.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Stick around because Dawn and Slay are going to be catching up with Jimmy Wyatt. Obviously the sleigh ride. Santa Sleigh. As I saw him on the SEC network.
Yeah. But in the meantime,
and in between time, peace.